Get the whole Young Turks 3-hour show by going to theyoungturks.com. If you become a member, you get the whole show, plus a very fun post-game show as well. See you there. Welcome to the Young Turks. I'm your host, Cenk Uygur. In this hour, we've got some more devastating news on Sarah Palin and also on Bill Clinton. Man, we got a couple of things that really hurts Bill Clinton. And then John Edwards, Elizabeth Edwards, John McCain. Everybody's getting hammered by this new book, Game Change, which is Mark Halpern and John Heilman's book. We will discuss what portion of that has validity or not, but that book is definitely explosive. Okay. And it's funny that they started talking about Harry Reid first, because the other stuff in the book is so much larger. We will get to all that in a little bit. But first, I'd like to issue a challenge and an invitation to the Tea Party. I will get to that in 1 second. So let's get started on the business news that's going to get to the Tea Party, folks. Finally, Obama's heard the call for Americans across the country saying, hey, you know what, look, this bankers making literally record profits and record bonuses in the middle of this worst economic downturn. There's something a little fishy about it. It's almost as if they took our bailout money and are taking it home in bonuses and haven't helped us at all. So Obama sees this and goes, okay, look, this is politically damaging. He's a master politician, so he is going to go ahead and mitigate the damage. So they've got a new idea out, a bailout fee that they're going to impose on the banks. Now, here's where it gets a little questionable. First of all, it's something, so I'll take it. All right, it's a good step in the right direction. There should be a hell of a lot more steps, and it's not nearly enough, as I'll explain why in a second. But hey, you know what? At least he heard us a little bit, right? So, but now what's the problems with it? Well, first of all, the banks say, oh, don't you dare do it. They always love to threaten people. Who are you guys? You were all bankrupt a year ago. Now you're going to come and threaten us, or a little over a year ago. And they can, because we already gave them the money. They say, number one, if you have any fee against us, we're going to pass it right on to our customers. Well, congratulations. Doesn't that make you a humanitarian? All right. Number two, we won't do any more lending. But you don't do the lending anyway. We gave you the money so you could do the lending. You don't do the lending. So what kind of empty threats are these? Number three, this would be an extra burden on us in a time, in economic times that are perilous. But no, wait. It's perilous for the rest of us. You're still making record bonuses. It doesn't seem like it's that perilous to you. Now, so what's wrong with the proposal? Now, if the banks are worried about it, that must be slightly a good thing, right? Because they love to, protect their bonus. Well, the problem is there's a much better way to do it. You do it with a windfall profit tax, or you do it with, as England did and as France did, by saying, hey, look, if your bonus is, for example, over $40,000, well, we're going to take half of that bonus to pay back the American taxpayer because you got it from the American taxpayer. For example, Goldman Sachs, they're projected to have a $23 billion in just bonuses for just their executives. That doesn't even go to their shareholders. It's just the guys running the company, okay? Now, where do they get that money? Well, at least $10.3 billion of it came from extra money we paid them through AIG. So they say, oh, look, I gave the TARP money back and I gave it back with interest. What more do you want? Well, how about the money you took from AIG? We gave them $13 billion, and on the open market, it would have been worth $2 to $3 billion. So Tim Geithner, when he was running the New York Fed, gave them an extra $10.3 billion of taxpayer money that they would have never gotten on the open market. He paid them 100 cents on the dollar. Then are you surprised they have all that money? Because we gave it to them. So how about instead of giving a fee to the banks that they then pass on to their customers, you say, look, easy. How do we do this? Oh, we can't do it any other way. How do we do it? So we say, all right, look, your bonus came directly from the United States taxpayers. So how about we take about half of it back, which is a little over $10 billion, and you pay us back for the money that Tim Geithner gave you back in 2008. Problem solved. Now, you will hear Democrats especially, but of course Republicans as well, saying, no, it can't be done. It's too complicated. It's not complicated. It definitely can be done. You just take back the money that they're going to take home in profits, in bonuses, that we gave them. It's super simple. They don't want to do it. That's why they tell you it's complicated. That's why they go with the fees, etc., which the banks will pass on to us in a lot of ways. So these are the stories that makes me look at it and go, look, I want to be on Obama's side. I supported the guy. I voted for the guy. Everybody knows that. There's no secret here. We don't hide things on this show. But how can I be on his side when the right thing to do is obvious? France has done it. England has done it. There's nothing that says that we can't do it. Of course we can. It's easy. And he won't do it. So whether he's doing it for the right reasons, the wrong reasons, he thinks it's politically hard to do, or it's, the banks have threatened him and say, oh, we'll leave, we'll go to the Bahamas or something. Whatever he thinks in his head, he's wrong. He's letting them walk away with our money. This is our last chance. Because once they hand out those bonus checks, which they're going to do in the next couple of weeks, you're never going to get the money back. By the way, the bank fees, it's still a vague proposal that would be instituted later. Again, once the bonus money walks out the door, it ain't coming back. This is BS, this proposal. So then you go on to point number 2 from today. Again, I mean, how do you not get frustrated? How are you not, skeptical about their motives? The SEC passed a rule or an order saying, that money that Tim Geithner wanted to keep secret, the money we funnel through AIG, the ones that I've been telling you about, they did it through a little thing called Maiden Lane, okay? Well, Geithner wants to keep it secret, doesn't want the emails out, doesn't want to tell you where taxpayer money went to which banks, literally, okay? So what the SEC did was, when the AIG filed here, they said, all right, look, here's something that'll help. If we pass this order, then those documents and where the money went will be kept secret until November of 2018. You think you're getting the money back in November of 2018 once you find out where it went to and why it went there and all the wrong reasons, and you find out the emails of how all this worked? You're not going to get the money back in 2018. It's a way of covering it up. Now, look. If you are a skeptical person or you are not a Democrat, I think if you look at this objectively, you got to be asking, is Tim Geithner a crook? Because, I mean, he funnels all the money to them in a way that is absolutely egregious, that no rational economic actor would have done. He claimed in his hearings that he wasn't even a regulator. Then what the hell were you doing as the head of the New York Fed? I mean, so many disingenuous answers, so many questionable actions, and then on top of all that, he goes to cover it up. And you begin to think, wait, is this guy corrupt? Now, a lot of you I can hear you screaming through your radios and your TVs and your computers, of course! Now, I don't think it's that simple. I don't think Tim Geithner thinks, okay, I will do this and later I'll get paid off by these guys. I could be wrong. I think he thinks it's what Simon Johnson, the former chief economist for the IMF and now economist at MIT, what he calls intellectual capture. We've talked about it on the show before. Tim Geithner actually thinks that the banks are right, that he has to give them all the taxpayer money, otherwise the economy would explode, and that he has no choices, that he cannot get that money back in any way, shape, or form, and that the bankers must take it home in bonuses, otherwise the economy would explode. Well, that makes him a bit of a fool. And most importantly, a tool. Much more important than being a fool, he's a tool. See, some people, I've learned after looking at the news for many years, right, are not successful because they're very smart or they're very accomplished. No, they're successful because a lot of people profit from them being in that position. So the bankers and the Republicans and the Democrats love Geithner being exactly where he is. He hasn't gotten to that position because he was enormously successful. And in fact, he failed his way up to that position. That's a matter of record. He got that position because he was unsuccessful in regulating the banks, in protecting the taxpayers. He got to that position because those powerful people wanted him in that position because he is a tool. Keeping it real. Okay. Now, that leads to my invitation to the Tea Party people. Now, I confess that I've made fun of the Tea Party people before. You could look it up on YouTube. Okay. And a lot of them I got no interest in. The guys with the fascism signs, the birthers, the conspiracy theories, the Holocaust signs, you're never going to appeal to those people. Those guys are on la-la land, okay? And to them, the idea of working with a liberal or a progressive or a centrist is an idea they would never accept under any circumstances anyway. But I do believe that there are a core set of people within the Tea Party movement that actually don't look. One of the reasons for the Tea Party thing was the bailout anger in the first place. That don't want these institutional guys to rip us off. They don't want the banks to rip us off. They don't want them to get taxpayer money, okay? And they think the little guy is being screwed. And those core Tea Party guys, they're right, okay, in that regard. The problem is the right-wing groups, people like Americans for Prosperity, etc., the think tanks that are paid by corporate America and some of the wealthiest people in the country, have co-opted the Tea Parties. And they led them in the wrong direction. They say, oh yeah, you're angry, that's fantastic. Let's take your anger and funnel it towards protecting private insurance companies. But somehow they bought that. They say, oh yeah, the government intrusion. No. You want to protect the private corporations against government intrusion. Yeah, you pay a higher bill, but who cares? Okay? And they got them to go along with this thing. Now, did you ever think, you Tea Party guys, hey, wait a minute. How come, if we were originally angry about the bailouts, how come we haven't done any protests against the Treasury Department? How come Geithner isn't on any of the signs that Americans for Prosperity pre-made for us? How come we don't get any donuts for going to protest against Geithner or the Treasury Department? Wait a minute, they're the ones, look, the economy is the most important thing. That's the thing you're most angry about. The government handing out money to the banks, you hate that. How come you haven't protested that at all? How come there's no protest at the Wall Street? How come all those right-wing groups and their website never organize buses to go protest at Wall Street or at the Treasury Department? Why hasn't that happened? Because they're playing you for fools. They're taking all of your anger and your passion and your understandable frustration with what's happening. And I'm telling you right here, I'm frustrated with Geithner. I'm frustrated with Summers. I'm frustrated with Obama. They're going in the wrong direction. And instead of you helping to go in the right direction, they're using you to protect those corporations who are robbing you and me, okay? So one is the challenge. If you really believe that we shouldn't hand out taxpayer money, especially to the richest people, but not just the richest, but the most culpable, the people who created the economic mess in the first place, well then why don't you protest that? Why don't you join us, and that's my invitation, to fight against the bank bonuses? That's taxpayer money they're about to walk away with. Why don't you do protests that matter, that are logical, that make sense, that go to the core of what you want? Now, if you don't want to join us, and they're not going to join us, keep it real, right? Go on your own, but at least do the right thing. That's where the real challenge comes into play. Go and challenge the guys that are actually walking away with our money, and that's the bankers who got, if they made the money on their own, and you say you're a capitalist and I'm a capitalist, right? If they made the money on their own, yeah, okay, then what is it my business? I'm not going to take IBM's money. I'm not going to take Nike's or Coca-Cola's money. It has nothing to do with me. But the bankers didn't make the money on their own. They got you the money of you and I, the taxpayer. So go and do those protests. But I'm telling you right now, those websites that organize these protests, none of them will go in that direction because they're not for you. They're for the corporations. Just look into who's funding them. Look into it for yourself. Don't believe me, right? But you fight them from the right. We'll fight them from the left. And I'll see your ass in the middle. The real middle of the country that doesn't want to get robbed by the banks and by the politicians. The corporate media will tell you the middle of the country is the centrist Democrats and Republicans, if there are any centrist Republicans left, who protect corporate America, whether it's the health care bill or whether it's the financial reform. But that's not the center of the country. Those are all corporate sellouts. They're the ones that get paid by the lobbyists to keep on doing that. No, the real center of the country doesn't have an interest in getting robbed. So if you believe anything you're saying, you fight from the right, go against the banks, rationally, okay, for the money that they got from taxpayers. We'll go from the left and see if we can actually get the American people to do the right thing and try to get our money back. So that's my challenge and my invite to the Tea Party guys. I'm still hopeful enough to believe a little bit. I believe that American people can eventually get to the right place, even if they've gotten misdirected 100 times over. Young Turks.
Anna is a woman. Your host, a Turkish barbarian. Anna is a woman. Anna is a woman. Your host, a Turkish barbarian.
All right, I will get sick of those, but not quite yet. I got a little bit more to suck out of those. Anna, you are a woman.
I am a woman.
You know how things get stuck in my head from the show? Every once in a while, I'll be walking around thinking, Anna is a woman. Okay, now we got crazy loaded third hour for you guys.
Yes.
Great stories I'm really excited about. And we're going to start with one of the freakiest ones out there.
Yes, absolutely. Eye tattoos, okay?
Eye tattoos.
This might be an emerging theme in prisons throughout the nation, all right? We have an incredible video on this. Honestly, if you feel nauseous easily, you don't want to watch this video.
Reason number 283 why I don't want to be in prison. All right, let's check it out.
But David Bolches took things to a level unlike anything ever witnessed by lockup producers.
They're tattooed red, the whites of my eyes.
Why?
I don't know if you can really ask why. It's really the question is why not?
Wrong. The question is why.
Everybody's got tattoos, everybody's got stretched ears, everybody's got this and that. You never see anybody with the whites of their eyes tattooed.
Except for Bolches' cellmate, Paul Inman.
It's like the final frontier. Nobody's got it done. I had blue eyes, so I chose blue. I thought it would be a good combination between a dark blue and black. I thought black would be a little scary, so I went with dark blue.
Oh, really? Because dark blue isn't scary.
Instead of being one in a billions of people in the world, you could be like the fifth or sixth person in the world to be like that. That's pretty amazing. And I'll bet you there's no one in the world that has the same color eyes as I do.
Neither of the cellmates would reveal how they tattooed their eyes or how they managed to create the colored ink.
I can't really say the process, but I do know that it is painful a lot, and you don't use a conventional tattoo gun or a homemade tattoo gun because there's a layer you got to get in between that layer. So you can use a hypodermic needle, but I ain't saying that's what we used.
We call my celly hamster, but he's more like a guinea pig. So you can take it any way you want. You know, he was the first one, and he lived through it, so we went on with it.
I just wanted to do a little dot, to see what it was like, and it spread through half my eye. And I was like, well, it's a little late for doing a little experimentation now. I got half of it done, might as well go all the way. And took a couple more weeks and went all the way. And now they're red.
I will say this, you have to be committed. If you decide to do this, it's not it hurts, it takes some time, and you got to be serious about doing it. You really do.
It's painful. It's like somebody was taking hot ice picks and stabbing the back of your eyes sometimes if you hit the wrong spot. They're done now, so I ain't got to worry about no more pain. I don't get no complications in vision. I don't see no red. It's all just perfectly fine. I wasn't scared to do it. I don't know, I live with balls to the wall theory, You
know, I said a long time ago that when I hit a certain age, I don't know, 55, 65, I don't know when it is, then I'm going to go balls to the wall. What's the point? I mean, you're going to die at some point anyway. Let's go crazy. I'm not going that balls to the wall. I got no interest in that. Guys, you really got to be committed to do this. Yeah, committed in a fucking mental side.
No. They're talking about it as if it's like a diet plan or something that's going to save your life. Like, you got to be committed, and it's going to hurt a little at first, but it's going to be good for the long run. Like, what are you freaking talking about? You're talking about tattooing your eyes.
Why? Why do you have to do it? He's like, the question isn't why, it's why not. No, it's
Clever.
not. The question
Clever.
is why? Why? Why not? Because you said it feels like getting stabbed in the eye with an ice pick over and over again. That's why not. It makes you look like a maniac That's why not. I got a lot of why nots, right? And the thing is, they're criminals, right? So if it makes them look more badass in jail, I can see the why to that degree, right? I'm trying to be fair and reasonable here. But you're also criminals. So if you go out in the world and commit another crime, I'm not saying you're going to. Just because you're in jail doesn't mean you're going to commit another crime. But if you do, it's going to be pretty easy to pick you out. Did you think about that? Okay, I hope you won't commit any more crimes so this won't be an issue. But God, and he's like, I'm not saying I did it with a hypodermic needle, but yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh my God. What I love is that they're being secretive about it, as if there's like this international craze and everyone's like dying to get their eyes tattooed.
Yeah, and he's like, there might be 5 or 6 people in the world. Maybe there is, but those are the only 2 I've ever seen, right? And he's like, not a lot of people are doing it. Gee, really? I wonder why. Okay. And they're so proud. They're like, think about it. We're one of very few people.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's probably not a lot of guys who are having anal sex with rhinos. But there's a good reason for that. Okay, it's probably not the right way to go. There are not a lot of people doing it, but I let the rhino go to work on me.
Right.
Why? And the question is, why not? I can tell you why not.
But
this is crazy.
I love how one of the guys gave a lot of thought to it. You know, like, okay, should I do black or should I do dark blue? Black might be a little scary, but dark blue, that's a little easier on the eyes.
The black might be scary. Are you mental? I don't know why I keep asking that question when the answer is super obvious.
Well, if you guys noticed the amount of time they're serving, the first guy who the guinea pig, even though they call him squirrel, whatever the hell they call him.
Hamster, I don't know. Gerbil, it made me think that maybe he was the bottom. I don't know. I'm not saying anything, man. Don't come after me. I just,
You guys think that guy with the red eyes, if you saw his rap sheet release, his stats and what he's doing in prison, he's in there for 4 years. The other guy who went blue, who was scared that black would look a little too crazy, he's in for 73 years. So I understand. You're never getting out. This guy's going to, well, apparently get out. So, I mean, if you're going to be in prison the rest of your life, I can kind of see you don't care anymore. This guy's getting out in 4 years with red eyes.
Who's going to hire that guy? Maybe he doesn't want to get hired. But again, if there's 2 choices, you commit crime, it's easier to identify you. You want to get hired in the real world. Who's going to hire the guy with the red eyes?
I mean, do you really think he's thinking about it? I mean, that was the first one to try it in that jail cell or in that prison, right? Which shows you that he has absolutely no questions in his mind about the future whatsoever. He didn't think for 1 second, yeah, I might go blind.
Yeah, you're
and
right.
He's in jail for 4 years, right? I mean, he's not even thinking about that.
No, you're 100% right. I don't know why I'm trying to apply rational thought to this. Because a guy who isn't concerned about sticking a hypodermic needle in his eye to tattoo his eyeball that he might go blind is going to be worried about what job he's going to get when he gets out of prison? What am I thinking? Right? What I'm afraid of is that other clowns are going to try to copy these people. And shockingly enough, they're going to be less successful than these guys. And the guys with hypodermic needles coming out of their eyeballs are going to be walking around the place. Like, oh, shockingly enough, I went for purple and it went wrong. And now I can't see. So, I almost hesitate in airing it because some clowns will try to copy them. Don't under any circumstances. Can't imagine what a bad idea that is. That's got to win an award for like the worst idea of, I don't know, 2009, 2010. I don't know when they did it. All right, okay, that was something else. All right, now let's go to Avatar and the controversies that it's been causing.
Yes, Avatar has upset certain groups of people. One group of people are a few blacks in the United States. They feel that the movie is racist, and I'll explain why in a second. And the second group are the Catholics, okay? Now, the reason why some black people are upset at the movie is because they feel that it's the classic case of the white messiah fable. Right? Where the white man comes in and he saves the primitive natives.
Now, here's the situation. I know it's not just African Americans here in this country. There's Latinos who are upset about it too. And I've seen libs go both ways on this. Some are ecstatic about the movie because it's obviously an anti-imperialist message. There's no question about that. You can think that it's an anti-corporatist message. I think that's very valid as well, and an anti-military message, or militaristic, at least, message. So some liberals are ecstatic about that and think that's great. Look, this is how corporations have been, raping foreign lands, whether it's Latin America or Iraq or wherever, or Africa, wherever it might be, right? And other liberals are like, oh yeah, here we go again. We need the white guy to come and save us. Okay, Pocahontas can't do anything until, the white guy comes along and saves them. And the poor little Native Americans can't do anything until Kevin Costner comes and, dances with buffaloes or whatever he's doing, right? So, I know it's wolves. Just bring it down. Okay? So, I get that. At the same time, I'm going to have to ask you to bring it down. Okay? You can't be against the movie and call it, like, if you voice concern about it, no problem. No problem at all. Like, I get it, and that's a valid point to make, okay? But if you say, I don't like the movie because of, well, you're allowed not to like the movie. That's okay, too, actually. But I think calling it racist is over the top, right? And I get your concerns, but I think Cameron's heart was in the right place. Next time they do a movie, instead of the 287th time in a row that the white guy saves now he becomes a Navi, so you can question whether he's actually white or not by the end. It's, a lot of people have seen the movie know, but next time maybe the native saves the situation, right? And in this case, the Navi, though I don't mean to be a spoiler, not much of a spoiler, but one of the Navi took the final shot for what it's worth. But come on, he was the special guy, right? The white guy's the one that was the thing of fables and legends. Now, it's a cool plot device, too, so that's part of why it's done, right? But, okay, so I see both sides. I wouldn't go as far as racist.
Yeah, I think we're making too many assumptions. You can see that parallel, or you can see that in it. But we have movies where the black guy's the hero, too. So I haven't seen it, so I don't know if it's the right. I Am Legend. I think the Book of Eli probably. I don't know. It's just coming out with Denzel Washington.
No, all that is true. And I'm not saying there are no Hollywood movies, and they're not saying there are no Hollywood movies where the black guy is the hero. No question about it. I mean, look, Will Smith's made a fortune being the hero in movies. No, they're saying in this specific theme, when the natives are against imperialists or whoever it might be, the opposing power, it's almost always the white guy that comes in, switches sides, and then rescues the natives, right? That theme that they're talking about. Now, it's like I said, legitimate concern. Don't get too wigged out by it, okay? Something to look out for in the future. Now, let's go to the Catholics.
Yes, the Catholics are upset because they feel that the movie is sending the message that people should worship nature rather than worship God.
Now, you see, that's the thing with Catholics. They flip me out, man. I feel bad for them because they really think that they're battling these different things. Like, they think they're battling Harry Potter. They view that as competition. Lord of the Rings is other competition. I don't believe in witchcraft and Harry Potter and elves and the dwarves and Lord of the Rings, right? And apparently they view respecting nature as competition to religion. But there's nothing wrong with respecting nature. And if you think that's your competition, I don't know. I guess you're going to lose because nature's always going to be nature. And I should hope that we're going to respect it at some point. I mean, if you're battling against facts and you're battling against nature and things as they are, that's a losing battle for you in the long run. But I wouldn't pick my battles that way. Now, speaking philosophically or from a religious point of view, I happen to be agnostic, right? I don't view nature as a competing, thing. Why would I? Okay. And if nature can go in a lot of different ways, you can say, hey, you know what? In nature, there's a lot of randomness, or there's mutations, or there's evolution, but there's also order. 2 + 2 = 4. E = mc squared, not mc cubed. There's order. You can't fight nature. And what the decisions you make off that, or the conclusions you make off that, is a different matter, right? But I think you clown yourself when you say, oh, I don't know about this nature thing. Let's go with our voodoo instead. You're only hurting yourself.
Right. No, I agree. Why are they so worried about movies spreading propaganda? There's been a ton of movies that spread Catholic and Christian propaganda. That's just the way it is. Just live with it. Why are you why are you overanalyzing every single movie? Just believe in what you want to believe in, have faith in your own religion, and screw off.
And screw off.
Like, see, I honestly, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what JR's religion is. All I know are what my beliefs are, and that's all that matters to me, okay? I'm not going to live my life in this paranoid fear, okay, where I'm worried about what your beliefs are. I don't give a shit.
God bless you for that, ironically. Okay, but having said that, I know why they're concerned about it. And I think that their concern is somewhat legitimate, actually. And I'll tell you why. Because, look, you're convinced of this, and I'm convinced of that, and the Pope is convinced that the Catholicism is right, I think. Right? But they're worried about the middle ground. They're worried about winning hearts and minds. And movies, I mean, that, especially Avatar, seen by 1.3 billion, or it's brought in $1.3 billion so far. Okay, it's seen by a lot of people across the world. That does set the culture. Okay, now, and once the culture is set, it's hard to overcome. So I know why they battle against it. And I know you're right that it makes them seem silly. There's no question. I mean, when they, go off in a, little casting spell, battle between Dumbledore and the Pope, it's a lose-lose for them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, but having said that, man, people are going to get influenced by Avatar. And
in what way? Like they're going to watch Avatar and they're going to start talking to trees? I mean, what's your point?
I don't think so, but some probably will. But no, final thought on it is this. Like, I hear you, and I don't think they're going to get influenced in that way. I don't think, right? But they will be influenced in some ways that I find positive in this case. I think a lot of people look at that movie and go, yeah, you know what? The corporations, they do only care about the money, right? And they care about getting whatever it is, unobtainium. Oh, God, what a clunky, terrible word that was to use in the movie. Or oil in the real world, etc. And it makes them think, hey, because there's a lot of propaganda in America that corporate America is awesome, right? It's like the greatest gift of, God to mankind. And the movie makes you think, nah, I'm not so sure that's true. And the reality is, of course, it's not true at all. That there's upsides and downsides to corporate America. So that's why it can be influential. I'm hoping in a good way. And that's why the Vatican is scared of it. All right, that's a lot of Avatar talk. When we come back, we do have one more movie thing for you guys. It involves a hot lesbian scene. So I didn't say anything, I'm just saying, and there's some chance I fell in love with this movie.
There's also an Armenian involved.
And an Armenian. Hot lesbians and an Armenian. How do you go wrong? All right, come back, Young Turks. All right, back on the Young Turks. As usual, in the third segment, we thank the members. Real quick, member number 1029, Warren Dans, joined on October 19th of 2008. And then member number 1030, Mary Catherine Kennedy, also on the same date. And we, of course, appreciate it. You've been with us a long time, and we love you for it. Members get the whole 3-hour show, no commercial breaks, nothing. Easiest thing in the world. And furthermore, they get the members-only postgame, which we will do non-live today, a little after the show. And we got so many great stories to get to that I fear that, again, the postgame show is going to be a bit of a blowout. Okay, I have that fear, just to let you know. All right, let's move forward.
All right, last year, Channing Tatum was filming the movie The Eagle of the Ninth. And during the filming, he has to go into a cold river, right? So they had a whole strategy set up where he could keep warm, and they would mix hot boiling water with cold water and then pour it down his wetsuit, and that would keep him warm, okay? So one day, someone did that to him, and there were disastrous results. So I'm going to read you his quote, all right? And he gives this quote in Details magazine. He says, "The only way to keep warm was by pouring a mix of boiling water and river water down your suit. We were finally done shooting for the day, and one of the crew guys asked if I wanted to warm up before I go. I'm like, nah, I'm good. And then I thought, why not? Thing is, he'd forgotten to dilute the kettle water, so he poured scalding water down my suit. And I was trying to pull the suit away from my body to somehow get away from the boiling water, and the more I pulled the suit away, the lower the water went. It just went straight down and pretty much burned the skin off the head of my dick."
Jesus, man. All right, first off, this is why, from time to time, I'm what they call a type A personality or anal, right? Because I got to ask 2 times to make sure you don't pour boiling water on my dick. Do you see what I'm saying? Because sometimes people forget, and you go, hey, you know what? In cases like that, let's double check, right? And then it's, oh, you're so annoying. Except the one time you don't double check, they pour the boiling water on you.
Tell us how you really feel, Jank.
Okay, so I mean, I feel sick about this happening.
Yeah.
And I look, Channing Tatum, I couldn't care less about him, but now that I read the story, I feel bad for the guy. And
yeah, and then a reporter, he showed a picture of his penis to a reporter. I don't know why he would do that, but apparently
I think he showed him the actual penis.
Did he?
I think he showed him the picture, and then I think
And then he
I'll
just
check
pulled
on
it
that.
out?
Yeah,
Okay.
as you read the quote.
Okay, but the reporter saw an image of the penis, okay?
There's no question.
And
The penis has been seen.
The penis has been seen. And this is the quote from the reporter. Channing Tatum's penis is gross. It looks like a hot dog that's been left too long on the grill. The tip is hot pink, singed, and shriveled. It appears angry, and it's painful to view. My penis hurts just from looking at it. Movie stars tend to be vain by nature and profession, but Chan, that's what everyone calls him, does not mind one bit showing me his sad, withered wiener.
Yeah. First of all, Anna's right. He just showed the pictures, not the actual penis. Way to go. That's the right move. I wouldn't have shown any, if you ask me. Number two, he's got it on his iPod or whatever.
Right.
Those are going to leak online. You're crazy. Get them off your iPod. Delete them. Get them off of everything, okay? I don't know why you want them to leak, but
is it,
if you leave pictures like that on your iPod, you're a celebrity. They will leak. I can't get this through to people.
I don't think that it's damaging for him if they do get leaked. So it's Channing Tatum's penis. It's not the same as naked pictures of a woman. No one cares.
You know what the real damaging part was? The words shriveled and withered. That can't help the big guy. Okay, so that's the damaging part, if you ask me. Otherwise, he got burned. What can he do? It's and I know I'm not putting it on him. I'm not saying like it's his fault or something or da-da-da. And honestly, the reverse is, I think this made me respect him in some crazy way because he's putting it out there, quite literally, right? And he's saying, look, this is what happened, but I'm all right with it. That's life, and that's the way it went down. I don't know. It takes some courage for him to do that. So I appreciated and respected that. But if I was him, I probably wouldn't have gone in that direction. I'd have kept that a little bit more on the down low.
I think I'd kill the crew guy. Like he'd be dead. It'd be done.
Well, look, man.
Immediately.
Okay. If anyone should have gotten Christian Bale on a crew guy, it was Channing Tatum. But he still didn't, so you got to give him props for that, too. The story in the end, as crazy as it is, makes me respect him a little bit more. In fact, let me give you one small more quote from him, because he says he's all right now. He says, "It was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. I'm good now. Now my penis is fantastic, 100% recovered. Put me back in the game, coach." You can't help but like the guy a little bit.
Right.
Okay.
By the way, he's about to star in a movie with Amanda Seyfried.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. He better know who she is, I'll tell you that. All right, let's move forward.
All right. A plane had to make an emergency landing in Colorado Springs because a gentleman had too much wine, and he was shaving shirtless in the airplane's bathroom.
She didn't tell you the relevant part. The relevant part is his name is Mohammed Abu Tahir.
Right. It's over.
Okay, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? So, look, he got drunk, right? So, not likely to be a Muslim fundamentalist who don't drink. But, as we found out with the 9/11 guys, sometimes before they're going to die, they're like, oh, yeah, God will forgive me. They go to a strip club and get wasted, right? So, you go and get wasted on a plane. You go in the bathroom for like an hour. And your name is Mohammed Abu Tahir, and you're surprised this stuff's going to go down, but then it gets worse. You're shaving. First of all, I don't know if he's using a razor. So
yeah, how did that razor? But how did that
massive
razor,
alert, right?
How did that even get on the plane?
I don't know. It might have been an electric shaver. You know, who knows, right? But then, if all that wasn't enough, he took off his shoes and socks, put them outside the bathroom, and closed the door back up. Okay, look. I'm not for racial profiling. You know that. You watch this show, okay? But bounds of reason, my man. Okay, I mean, Mohammed Abu Tahir, you cannot be in the bathroom for an hour and put your shoes outside and not think they're going to land the plane and arrest you. I mean, have you been watching the news at all lately? And if I was on that plane, I'd be like, land the plane, okay? Keep it real. Because it's not that he's a random Muslim. It's that he's doing something that's super questionable. If a Norwegian did it, it'd be super questionable. And you think in this climate, if Mohammed Abu Tahir does it, it's not going to be questionable? So now, get a load of what he's facing.
Okay. He faces a fine of $250,000, okay? And he also faces 20 years in prison.
Okay, now look, if it turns out there's no bombs or chemicals in the shoes, and Mohammed just got loaded, okay, he's going to have to pay a hefty fine. because you cause significant inconvenience to everybody. If I'm on that plane, I'm super annoyed. You were scared. You had to land somewhere else, etc. You know, it's a mess. You caused a mess, and you should have known better, right? 20 years? Okay, come on. Okay, he's not going to get 20 years. Plea bargains, etc., etc. First-time offense if it is, right? But if he's clean, don't give him 20 years, man. That's crazy. He just got drunk, and bounds of reason on that. Make him pay the piper for the mess that he caused, but 20 years is way too long. You with me on that?
Agreed.
Agreed. It's decided. And Muhammad, no more going to the bathroom on the planes, okay? Or you can, okay, 5 minutes. That's what I'm capping you on. No more drinking on the plane. That's the most important part. Okay, we're out of time. Disastrous. No. Because the China gay story is huge. It's long. All right, let's do it in the postgame.
All right.
Okay. You know how yesterday in the postgame we're talking about how the overpopulation of Chinese men because of the one-child policy might lead to more homosexuality in China? Instantly, it has. We did the story yesterday, sexuality blossoming in China today. Or perhaps we got a story about it today. Anyway, Mr. Gay China. That's the story. We'll do it in the postgame. Young Turks.
Oh, no, hell no, man. Y'all done up and done it.
Sign up for membership on theyoungturks.com and get the whole 3-hour show plus an uncensored postgame.